Well, Mr. Bacon, first and foremost, you started the I Stay Home For initiative, the hashtag that's been trending on social media right now. How did that start for you? Where did it come from? And what's the rollout been like so far?
Well, I was kind of a natural fit to kick it off just because of the 6 degrees game that's been around for many, many years. For a long time, I've always felt that if you take me out of 6 degrees, there's actually a really powerful concept there. And in fact, I feel like the reason that thing kind of took off and has had this incredible hang time has nothing to do with me. I was a random, selection of somebody to play the game with. But the truth is that I think that we are connected as a species and as the people that are all kind of sharing this big boat that we're riding together. I think that this virus is a really, really strong example of how powerful that connection is. And it just seemed like everything that I was hearing and everything that I was reading about what the weaknesses may be in this virus, it seems like it doesn't like social distancing. Social distancing is something that the virus doesn't dig.
It seems like there's been a lot of positive reaction to it. What have you learned from that? Like, have you gotten any like kind of surprising stories about how people are spending their time at home?
Well, I think that one of the first things that I learned was one of the first responses, which was from people who don't have the luxury of staying home because they are on the front lines of fighting this epidemic. And we're talking about medical professionals, of course, nurses, doctors, but there's also, uh, first responders and there's even our kind of unlikely heroes, which are people that are willing to work in grocery stores and make
Right.
food deliveries. These people are one of the first reactions they had was, "Hey, that's great, but we need to get out. We need to be out here." And so, in a lot of ways, I feel like one of the strongest ideas is that we need to stay home for them. We need
Right.
to kind of squash this curve so that we're not sending more sick people to the hospital and more of or to the grocery store or wherever, and more of the people that are out there fighting this thing are putting them more at risk. I also think that while I love the celebrity kind of aspect of it, and I think it's really kind of fun to see people popping up and their take and their support means everything to me. I also really, really love the fact that I can look at the hashtag and see individual families and little kids and all across the world,
Right.
people responding to this.
Is there anything that you still try to do when you're alone or when you're at home or you're thinking about now in terms of just keeping yourself active as an actor, like keeping your training up or practicing or reading scenes or reading plays or I mean, you mentioned watching shows and stuff like that, but I don't know if that's just a relaxation thing or if that's something you're thinking about in terms of work. Like, do you still feel the need to do that, or have you just been doing it long enough that you're good? You can take a break.
That's an interesting question. Yeah, like charades. We haven't started.
Okay. All
We
right.
haven't
Yeah.
started playing charades. Um, I think that you kind of touched on something interesting, and that is that I've always felt like one of the challenges of being an actor is that it's kind of tough to practice when you're on your own. You know, um, you can run lines and learn lines. In fact, there are some lines that I probably should be working on, to tell you the truth, in hope that we'll be up and running, soon. But no, I mean, not yet. I do think that acting aside, there is the possibility that there will be a pretty. I feel like there's going to be a lot of art that's going to come out of this. I remember after 9/11, there was a lot of really interesting things that related to it, theater and painting and amazing photography and songs, whole albums from artists that were, kind of as a reaction to this. And so I think that if you're a creative person, you know, to the extent that you can, try to create something. I think in this day and age, there's probably going to be people that are, I'm sure there already are people that are making films, on their phones and editing them and putting them out there and, putting content out there. Creative people create.
Well, I wanted to ask about your podcast too, because the obviously just kind of the title of the podcast alone is pretty great. The Last Degree of Kevin Bacon, the new Spotify podcast that's out there. But listening to those like first couple episodes, obviously so much of it deals with references to your career and very specific references to stuff that you've gone through, and you're playing another version of yourself, which you've done in the past as well. What's it like? I mean, first of all, what interested you in it? And then secondly, what's it like to kind of go through that where you are constantly revisiting things you've done before from this kind of comedic bent?
That's a great self-promotional segue. This thing is a good time to catch up on your podcast.
Right.
I think I'm really proud of the podcast. I always want to emphasize to people because I think they think when they hear it that I'm doing an interview or I don't know, career suggestions or acting lessons or something like that, which it 100% is not. It's scripted, it's comedy, it's really silly and fun, and also probably a nice kind of diversion from everything that's going on around the virus. I had done a short at Funny or Die that I directed, that I was in playing a heightened version of myself called A Duck Walks In on a Couple Having Sex. And I've always I take my work incredibly seriously, but I don't take myself all that seriously. And I feel like sometimes, actors and our process and how we are and who we live and our sincerity is like really, really extreme, and I've always been very, very happy to poke fun at both at myself and at the culture of celebrity and at Hollywood and, the whole thing. So this seemed like a great extension of that, Duck Walks In on a Couple Having Sex. And the writer of that pitched me this idea. And I've done a lot of things in my career and my work where I've been like, well, I've never really done that, but let me try it, and see what happens. And podcast was one of them. I've never been a guy who's been wrapped up in the animated world. Like I haven't done any of those Pixar things and
Right.
the voice characters. So this was a really kind of new world for me. And I loved it. Spotify was incredibly supportive of the process, and Funny or Die was really good at getting a great director and a great stable of voice actors, who really do this. They have in their arsenal, 20, 30 different voices and characters of all different ages and ethnicities and stuff. It's really kind of amazing. And then we got Kira Sedgwick, shockingly to play Kira Sedgwick. And we got Matt Walsh and Lamorne Morris. And then other kind of fun people that popped in like Terry Gross and Rob Reiner and Emily Deschanel. So it's funny. It's again, it's really me making fun of myself and of our lives and trying to put out a heightened version of what the life with us might be like.
No, it definitely goes through, and it's one of those things where, again, like it's pretty clear that this is a character, and at the same time, like the fun that you're having with it kind of transcends into the audience. So it's been a good listen. All right, well, last thing just before we leave, you said that you're trying to catch up on some shows. Do you have any recommendations, movies, shows, anything you've been watching other than City on a Hill on the podcast?
My son turned me on to that tiger thing. So
Oh, Tiger King.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I started watching two episodes of that. Sometimes I find that documentaries are really great because as an actor, they're really good kind of research for character work. If you're
Oh
ever
yeah.
asked to play those characters, which they're the type of characters that I probably would be asked to play. And that's great. We just started watching 000, which we think is pretty
Oh,
cool. I love Better Things. I just love the writing and just it's a fantastic show. Honey, what else are we watching?
Oh gosh, those are really
I think
right up there.
yeah, I think those are the three that we've been
Yeah.
digging into
Right this second.
right this second. Yeah.
no, those are great picks. Thanks
Oh,
for
I want to
sharing
see
them.
the new. You know what just came out, which I love the first. My Brilliant Friend. Is that what it's
Oh
called?
yeah, yeah, on
Yeah,
HBO. Yeah.
yeah. The new season of that came out, so I'm looking forward to that. And of course, Narcos Mexico
With Sosie Bacon.
with Sosie Bacon.
Of course.
Yeah, Sosie Bacon in the second season of Narcos Mexico, where, in my opinion, which is not in any way biased, Sosie Bacon just kills it.
Of course. Yes. Well, we obviously trust you on that one. So, thank you for the recommendations. Thank you for making the time, and thank you for starting the hashtag and getting people to stay indoors. It's obviously a great cause, and we'll do what we can to support it. So, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.